call this meeting of the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Subcommittee to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Representative Cochran. Here. Darby. Here. Hawford. Here. Hulsey. Here. Hurt. Potts. Reedy. Here. Shaw. Chairman Todd. Here. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any personal orders or announcements that need to be made? Seeing none, would like to mention to everyone that today is National Ag Day, and every year producers, agricultural associations, corporations, universities, government agencies, and countless others across America join together to recognize the contributions of agriculture to our society. Normally here at the legislature, as you know, we celebrate Ag Day in the same fashion with an exhibition of various farms, livestock, competitive activities, and yes, free food. Hopefully, next year we can return to this normalcy and celebrate Ag Day in the proper way. Agriculture is important to the nation, and here in Tennessee, agriculture is deeply rooted in our heritage. On behalf of this committee, I'd like to take some time to recognize all of our hardworking agriculture professionals, as well as our entire agriculture industry, which is a vital component to our state's economy. We appreciate all the contributions that agriculture makes to our state and our society, and value what it brings to our everyday lives. We will mention a couple of things that have changed. We're going to roll item 1 to the heel of our calendar today. Item number 6, House Bill 715, has been taken off notice, and House Bill 1389, item number 7, has been rolled 1 week. So that would bring us to item number 2, House Bill 1286. Speaker Pro Tem Marsh. We have a motion and a second. Speaker Pro Tem Marsh, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill concerns the Tennessee State Fair. The Tennessee State Fair Exposition Commission recently recommended to Governor Lee the Tennessee State Fair should be moved to the Wilson County Fairgrounds. We also appreciate the $5.2 million in the Governor Lee's proposed budget to assist with this transition. This bill makes technical changes needed in the law for this to occur. It specifies the nonprofit Tennessee State Fair Association, in conjunction with the Wilson County Promotions, Inc., the organization of volunteers who conduct the Wilson County Fair, to operate the state fair. This ensures the state fair is not simply contracted to the highest bidder and eliminates uncertainty. The Wilson County Fair has a strong volunteer base with over 1,600 volunteers who contribute over 91,000 hours. So the Wilson County Fair is ideal location for the state fair. The $50 million facility includes 280 acres, 117,000 square feet of livestock facilities, a 78,000 square foot expo center, 7 buildings with 16,570 square feet, 26,000 square feet arena, 86 acres of parking, and all of the other shops around. So this is an ideal location, and this gets the paperwork ready if we want to do this.
Motion on the bill.
We do have a motion and a second, and is there any discussion on the bill? Representative Reedy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Speaker Pro Tem Marsh, I appreciate your efforts in this and look forward to it moving forward. Last legislative session, I had legislation trying to help Nashville-Davidson County with the fair grounds here. It's sad to see that it's going to leave the county, our capital county city. But however, the disdain that they have for agriculture and for the fair, I'm happy to see that it's going to a county that really appreciates what Tennessee stands for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments?
Call question.
Question's been called. Without objection, we'll be voting on House Bill 1286. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1286 moves on to full
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
Thank you, sir. Next item is item number 3, House Bill 584 by Chairman Terry. Do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Representative Terry, after the sanitizing, you are recognized, sir. We do have an amendment on this bill that will put you to clarify the drafting code. Yes, sir, that's what I have. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Motion. We have a motion on the amendment. Do I have a second? We have a second. If you would explain the amendment, and then we'll get it on the bill.
All right, thank you, Chairman and Committee. The top issue in my district is odor related to a landfill. And this amendment makes the bill and restricts that issue to Rutherford County. In addition to trash and other waste, wet sludge has been permitted to be deposited in the landfill. And my county is currently undergoing an RFP to potentially make a mega landfill in the area, and so this issue needs to be addressed. The bill makes a change in the code that if the commissioner is going to permit wet sludge that originates from outside Rutherford County to be deposited into the Class 1 landfill, they must receive 2/3 approval from the county commission.
Okay, you've heard the amendment. Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on the amendment. Now, does this amendment makes it just a local bill, or is it still going to apply statewide?
Representative Terry.
Thank you, Chairman. This bill restricts it to the population for Rutherford County, so that based off of that census, and I put that in Section 1 of the bill.
Representative Shaw.
And that would remain all the way through the process of this. You wouldn't be, you're not trying to get it out and change it back to,
Chairman Terry.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm trying to fix a local issue.
okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? We'll be voting on amendment, drafting code 5488. Without objection, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment 5488 is now added to the bill. Chairman Terry, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for the sponsor? I'm understanding the amendment, once it's added on, makes the fiscal note not significant. Is that correct?
Oh, I think the fiscal note, the new fiscal note was like $1,000.
Okay. Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, without objection, we'll be voting on House Bill 584. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 584, as amended, moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Item number 4 on our calendar is House Bill 641 by Representative Alexander. Do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. And I do see there's an amendment for this bill. Would you let us know what the drafting code is for the amendment, Representative? I have 4110. Motion on the amendment. Second. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. We'll give you a chance to discuss the amendment, if you would.
Since I didn't know there was one on it, sir, I don't know how to discuss it.
Okay. This, yes, please do. We're going to get you a copy of that. You are recognized.
Okay. The amendment just changes the age limit from 14 to 13. It's still 36 months as soon as someone is adopted into your family.
Okay. We'll go ahead and, without objection, we'll get this amendment on and then discuss the entire bill as amended. Without objection, all in favor of amendment drafting code 4110, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The amendment passes and goes on the bill. So you are recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Chairman. The bill really just does nothing but create a lifetime sportsman license for adopted children. So if you adopted a child, you bring them into your home, you're a hunter and a fisherman, you want them to be able to hunt and fish alongside you, then if you had had a natural-born child, you would have been able to get this lifetime license for a reduced rate at the time of their birth or shortly thereafter. And this just allows the same thing to occur if you adopt a child. And that adopted child cannot be, with the amendment, 13 years, no older than 13 years of age. It has to be done within 36 months of the adoption taking place. This would allow them to get a lifetime sportsmanship license that would stay with them for the life of that licensor. And it would only be for the amount of $200.
We've already voted on the amendment, so we're discussing the bill, and we do have some questions. So, and I'm understanding, and I don't have it in my notes here, but I believe the fiscal note as amended was about $6,000?
That is
I
correct.
think that is on the amendment, okay.
Well, I'm not sure about the amendment, but if that changed the fiscal note, but that's what it was originally.
Okay, I'm being told it actually makes it not significant now.
Okay.
From that standpoint. So,
Perfect.
Representative Halsey.
I just wanted to point out the quality of representation that comes from Northeast Tennessee right here. This is a great bill. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Representative, any follow-up comment on?
Thank you.
Representative Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this is a good time for a sounding board. Do you belong to the Tennessee Sportsman's Caucus yet, Representative?
No, I do not. No.
We need to get you signed up and every member on this committee. I chaired it, or started it, with Senator Mike Bell several years ago, and this is hitting right to where we always talk about and share what Tennessee is doing that other states should be following. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll be voting on House Bill 641 as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Your bill passes. 641 moves on to full committee.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
We're now on item number 5, House Bill 871 by Representative Campbell. We have a motion. We have a second. After the sanitizing, Representative Campbell, you'll be recognized to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There should be an amendment drafting code 005436.
That's what I have, sir. We have a motion on the amendment and a second. Does it make the bill, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the amendment makes the bill, so we'll go ahead and vote on that and then discuss the bill as amended. Without objection, all in favor of amendment number 1, drafting code 5436, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Amendment passes and goes on the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, members and Mr. Chairman. This bill exempts as amended, exempts a formerly operating open pit mine or quarry that agrees to receive, fill, or borrow material from state highway construction projects from all local regulations that limit the operator's ability to fill the pit and reclaim and restore the site. If the fill work complies with the requirements of the Tennessee Water Pollution Control Act and in all other ways satisfies this state's rules applicable to the fill activity.
Okay, so in a real-world example, can you give us something that kind of helps us sink our teeth into that?
Well, I'll take a venture at it here that if those construction projects materials in conjunction with the state highway project, if someone I would imagine has received a contract, they would then have those materials in their possession, need a place to put those items, and if they fit the criteria of an open pit mine or quarry that was formerly operating, that they would be covered under the purview of this legislation.
Okay, Representative Reedy?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Representative Campbell, let's say that there is a formerly operating pit mine or quarry in your district. What authority does the city or county have in determining this being an okay thing to do? Do they have any say-so, or does it come to TDEC? Give us a flow chart on how this would flow out.
Representative Campbell?
I cannot personally speak to that process other than to tell you that this would override local government's ability to dictate what materials, under what criteria, could go in that open pit mine or quarry, the formerly.
Representative Reedy.
So if there is a zoning commission or zoning board in that county, then what you're saying, they wouldn't be part of the conversation. It would only be at the state level deciding that this resurfacing material would go there?
Representative Campbell.
Thank you, Representative Reedy. So my understanding is this would override
That is
the local regulation just for this very narrow category when it is specifically fill or borrow material from state highway construction projects.
okay.
If it
Representative
doesn't,
Reedy.
go ahead.
Yeah, because with that, it's kind of similar story, Mr. Chairman. In my district, both Houston, Humphreys County, it's talk of a sand and gravel companies coming in, creating, I wouldn't say it would be a total pit mine, but both of those counties don't have zoning laws, so it's given to TDEC to try to decide, does this make sense or not make sense? And I'm not advocating for zoning commissions to be developed at all, but it might be noteworthy on, we'll find pushback in some areas. I'm fine with the bill. I've seen folks use this on their farms and all of that took place last summer, 2 summers ago in Houston County. And it was beneficial to the farmers for helping them with their rutted out roads and everything else. And this is quite a concept. I mean, I know at times it's folks want to fill up those pit mines and all of that. I'm just concerned maybe taking away some of the local authority in this discussion and trying to find out if it's how important that it is. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Campbell.
And I will also restate, thank you very much, that the fill work must compile with the requirements of the Tennessee Water Pollution Control Act and has to satisfy all other state rules applicable to the fill activity. So it's not like they're going to get free rein, obviously, but just wanted to restate that. Thank you.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not really for sure I know what to ask. Have you had a problem in your district with this, Mr. Rep?
Representative Campbell.
Representative, I personally don't know of a problem in my district in this regard. I can tell you that there are some landowners that do have an interest in this legislation and would prefer to be able to use those materials from state highway construction projects to fill in those open areas.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you had discussions with maybe road builders and people like that, or would they be concerned about this at all, to your knowledge?
Representative Campbell.
I was told by a lobbyist, not the lobbyist, but a lobbyist, that the road builders were okay with this. I have not consulted Mr. Starwalt, and I don't know if he's behind me.
Thank you.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Representative Halsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Up in northeast Tennessee, where he's from, his district borders mine, there's a lot of open rock quarries, just open, been there for years. And, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. If you have this material, where else you gonna put it? And I don't know where they dump it now, but it sure would be a nice deal up there, fill some of that up.
Thanks, sir. Representative Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One more time, and I'm going to vote and support the bill because it does make sense. It's going to be a cost-saving measure, especially for TDOT and in our local counties on this. And so I guess I'm wrapping my head around it. So some of these areas, as Representative Halsey was stating, so some of it is just private land that we would allow this to take place. They need to haul it somewhere, and I get that. And I don't see it as a contaminant to groundwater or anything else, but there are the guardrails in this, if we pass this bill, that we're concerned about the Tennessee water pollution, and the Control Act will help protect the groundwater if it becomes a problem area. But yeah, thank you for the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Cochran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Campbell, just had a quick question about, so I understand the need to fill the pit mine or the quarry. Tell me what kind of local what type of local regulations are preventing this now that we would need to put in there that this supersedes local regulation?
Representative Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And specifically, I would argue that that could very well vary in multiple jurisdictions, and I do apologize for not having a number of specific examples along those lines. I would just say that things are done a lot different in a lot of jurisdictions, and I think it's imperative that we have somewhere for those state highway construction project materials to go that are within the requirements of the Tennessee Water Pollution Control Act. I think that would be most helpful.
Representative Cochran?
And I, like I said, I'm as a conservative, I'm a local control kind of guy, and I kind of need a high threshold before I say we're going to strip power from the local governments. And so, I mean, and you may be able to present that case, but that's what I would like to know. Hey, what jurisdictions are preventing this from happening now, and what types of local regulations are preventing? If there is something that is, something that's kind of extreme or egregious, then I can probably be persuaded. But I need a high threshold to take power away from local governments.
Representative Campbell, would you mind, if you've got a copy of the bill, look at section F, I believe, and maybe if you would point out some of the items in the last sentence, that might be helpful for clarification.
From the section in which you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, agrees to receive, fill, or borrow material from state and highway construction projects as part of its material for backfilling or grading, is exempt from all local restrictions, rules, regulations, or laws that explicitly or implicitly limit the operator's ability to fill the pit and reclaim and restore the site, including prohibitive zoning, limits on truck traffic, weight limits or distance limitations, or other operational limitations.
Thank you, sir. Representative Cochran, you're recognized if you have any further.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess I would still maybe have a little bit of a concern. So, again, you could have a quarry that's existed for 50 years. A community has built up around that quarry, and then suddenly the state has said, you know what, yeah, okay, we can fill that quarry, and now you've got a street that now is mostly composed of people going to and from their residence, and now the state has said now there's going to be rock trucks on that road constantly now, and without any local input. That's my concern, because as you said, every jurisdiction is different, and you might have a quarry in a place that it's really not great to have a bunch of rock trucks on there, and the local government may be the best person or the best body to make that decision. So that's my concern.
Thank you, sir. Representative Campbell, any further?
Thank you for expressing.
I personally have had some input from former county commissioner that expressed support for this because they have seen these issues brought by some activist groups to try to stop construction or whatever activities involving this very thing. And it drags them into kind of a personal vendetta that somebody might have, or again, some kind of an activist group. And so I was anxious to hear what all you had experienced with this and what the background was on it. Any further questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, you ready to vote? Without objection, we'll be voting on House Bill 871 as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 871 moves on to full committee.
Thank you.
This brings us to the heel of our calendar, which is back to item number 1, House Bill 199. And I will pass the gavel on to Chairman Halford.
Next on our calendar is House Bill 199 by Chairman Todd. Chairman Todd, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this bill does is, it has an amendment. I want to mention that
Yes,
first.
I'm
We probably
sorry.
ought to Drafting Code 4699.
Yes. Motion and a second on the amendment. Questions for the sponsor on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll be voting on the amendment 4699. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Amendment goes on House Bill 199. Mr. Chairman, you are recognized on House Bill 199 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this does, as amended, it exempts 501c3 nonprofits from paying stormwater fees until the cost of improvements they have made for that stormwater program are abated. So it's an offset where an entity, let's say a church, has to build a pond to comply with stormwater regulations, then the cost of that would be compensated over time with abating their stormwater fees until that cost is completely covered.
Representative Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In looking at this legislation and as in-depth as this could become, and concerned about the level and the capacity we're dealing with and effects on other ratepayers and what we could be getting into here, I personally would like to see, if it's the committee's will, to see this looked into a little deeper and get some more information on the effects we could be looking at, or the landscape of what we could be affecting with legislation like this. And I'm all for the 501c3s and what they do, but I also want to be fair to all ratepayers as we look at this moving forward. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we move this to summer study.
Have a motion and a second to send House Bill 199 to summer study. Without objection, we're voting to send House Bill 199 to summer study. All in favor will say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. This goes back.
Thank you, Chairman Halford. I would ask if is there anything else, any other items before the committee that I have overlooked or missed? Seeing none, any other business before the committee today? Any other announcements? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned.